So today I want to give you some tips on managing your anxiety, but I want to be extremely clear. If you have an anxiety disorder, if you find that you're anxious a lot of the time, most of the time, and you need help with this, please find a therapist to work with, a professional that can help guide you. This work, these tips, all of these things that I talked to you about, they're great and they can be used to enhance whatever work you're already doing, but they do not replace working with a therapist. Now, some people just have mild anxiety, or they get sort of stuck in an anxious state, and then a little bit of movement, a little bit of breath work can help them find their way out of it, and it's fine. But if you are working through healing from a trauma, or if you find that your anxiety comes from unhealed trauma, or if something opens up inside your mind, and just please don't hesitate. Look for a therapist, find somebody to help you. You can even show them this video, make sure they approve, all of those things. So that's very, very, very important. Now, I'm speaking a lot of times from my personal experience, because I have really struggled with anxiety for my whole life, and especially in my 20s. It got really, really bad. I even had panic attacks and stuff like that. So, I have worked with therapists as well, just so you know, but I also did a lot of this work just like not by myself, but with the aid of books or movement or breath work, meditation, all of these sort of tools that I've collected because of what I do for a living have really helped me get through my own struggles with anxiety. And sometimes I still have it. And now I just have tools that I can use to help pull myself out of it in the moment. So that's really what this is all about. Just figuring out, sort of starting to understand anxiety, how it works inside your body, and giving you the right tools to help you cope in the moment. Okay. So again, one of the biggest things that I found is that you can't actually fix, right? Fix is, a word, whatever that means, but you can't really dig into what's causing the anxiety, what the underlying cause of it is, when you're in the moment, because the anxiety takes over. It takes over your mind and it takes over your body. Now, I have spoken to you about the vagus nerve and how that works inside your body. So I've talked a lot about the physiological aspects of anxiety. So those are in some previous videos. They're all on my YouTube channel. Find me on YouTube, subscribe. You can go to my website to find my YouTube channel, www.julieturnermovement.com, or Instagram at JulieTurnerMVMT, and you can find all of those links. You can find all of those previous videos. But today, I want to talk about the anxious mind. So an anxious mind will attach itself to whatever it can find to create evidence to support the anxiety, right? So anxiety is the fight or flight response, and sometimes it's important. Sometimes it happens for a reason because you need to protect yourself, and sometimes it happens just on its own, or because of something in your past, something that you've experienced before that you're afraid to go through again, any number of reasons, or something that you just have a fear of, a phobia, something like that. So just to be clear, the brain and the body want to protect you and they want to keep you safe. So anxiety will come up when your brain or your body gets a signal somewhere that you're unsafe. And that may or may not be true. So first, if you start feeling it, evaluate the situation. Are you in danger? If you're in danger, get out, right? If you can, right? It's not that black and white. But if you're not actually in danger and you feel that it's just your anxiety taking hold, then you want to start to kind of do the work to figure it out. So the anxious mind is going to look for evidence to support its anxiety, because what the anxious mind believes is that anxiety is the truth, right? But the very first thing you have to do is say, this is not necessarily the truth. This is not necessarily what's actually happening or a reflection of my environment. This is just about my fear of what may or may not be happening. Yeah? So when your mind starts to attach itself to something, this tunnel vision creates. So you kind of start going down into this tunnel where you can only focus on your anxiety, and it's really hard to think about anything else when you're in that moment. So this is what happens, like let's say you have medical anxiety. Let's say you have anxiety about your health, right? Something happens, you get a pain or you have a little stomach ache, you start to research reasons that you have a stomach ache, right? This is Dr. Google, right? So you start to go down that rabbit hole of all the things that it can be, and suddenly you're certain that you have pancreatic cancer, right? Which it could just be, gas, right? But that's not, again, please, disclaimer, if you actually are ill, go to a doctor. But when we go, and any doctor will tell you, they do not want you Googling a bunch of stuff, right? They do not want you getting on the internet and trying to find answers for yourself, because when you do that, when you're in your anxious mind and you start to go down that rabbit hole, you're just looking for evidence to support what you're feeling, okay? So remember that, right? So that's an example of it. We can do this in many other ways, right? In relationships, you start spying on somebody's social media and you start going into all of their stuff and, something like that. Like, that's another way to go down a rabbit hole. In friendships, like, you start looking over your text messages that your friend sent you and looking for, if you think they're mad at you or something, you start looking for reasons to believe they're mad at you. Oh, she sent me this text, maybe she's mad at me, right? So all of these different ways that we can kind of go down that rabbit hole or stay in that anxious tunnel, right? So the trick is, when you feel yourself starting that, you have to be able to stop, right? And this is a practice. It takes a long time to get there, yeah? So you can't just say, oh, I watched this video and now I'm doing this forever and ever, right? It's going to happen over and over and over again. But what you'll find is that there's a little bit of space, right, in between your anxiety and then the tunnel vision or the tunnel thinking that you go down, right? And every time that it happens, you create more and more space. And then you finally start to realize, hey, I'm doing that thing again, right? I'm doing that thing where I get nervous, I start Googling stuff. I'm looking for reasons to support my anxious mind. And I just need to stop that, right? Now, then the next piece of this puzzle is you say, put the phone down, put the computer down, get out of my head, into my body. Yeah, so you can do an exercise, you can stand up and dance, you can turn on some music and just sort of move around to it, go out for a walk or a jog, anything that you like to do. Get out of your mind, get into your body, and it will help to regulate your mind enough so then you can give yourself some space from that way of thinking, and then you might realize, oh, that was my anxious mind. And when you're in that more peaceful and calm state, it's there that you can finally do the work to uncover the underlying reasons for your anxiety. So that's when you're going to want to rely on the work that your therapist suggests, or even go and talk about it, or even think about it in that moment when you're a little bit more calm and things don't feel as scary inside of the mind and inside of the body.